unbelievable aggression and a family ripped apart by a nightmare neighbour next door new at 8. Now, who will be crowned winner of the Battle of the Brews? Yorkshire Tea and PG Tips? Take your places, please.
Lights. Camera. Action. George Foreman sponsors foodie favourites on 5.
The traditional British cuppa.
It's a nice, cosy, warm feeling.
The sunshine is beaming from my soul.
The tea is always out.
We've been brewing, stewing, and slurping it for more than 300 years.
Like a train arriving, an old school train. Just fills you with like proper joy. You're like, yes, here we go.
It's a daily ritual that matters.
Can we say about 6 cups a day?
No.
Yes.
You drink more.
How do you know?
I'll make you 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, and whatever you
No,
drink in a
you
day.
don't.
Yes, I do.
And we're pretty partisan. We love our favourite brands.
PG Tips all the way from me.
So, we're pitting 2 bestsellers against each other in an epic battle.
Yorkshire Tea is the best.
I buy PG Tips.
There'll be bag-to-bag combat about geometry.
We're not mucking around with these bloody pyramid cobblers.
And it's actually not pyramid, it's tetrahedron.
Malaise on methodology.
Teabagging first. Never milk first.
Pure tea crime.
And rows about what we put in our precious brews.
You know I'm sweet enough.
You are wrong.
There'll be daredevil stunts.
Really?
You're looking lovely.
Confrontation.
I don't like drinking like biscuits.
Oh.
It tastes like normal tea. I'm afraid it's not tea.
And confounded expectations.
Wait, that's crazy. It actually smells like them biscuits.
Smells like biscuits.
All so you can decide Britain's ultimate tea champion.
Don't get into this.
Cheers, darling.
Let battle commence.
I like a nice cup of tea in the morning, for the start the day you see.
Tea, it feels as British as fish and chips, grey skies and international football failure. And that's down to the people who love it and drink it every day.
And a nice cup of tea with the tea.
We've assembled a stellar cast of tea drinkers from across the country
Cheers.
to help us decide which brand is Britain's super tea.
Not very often, Mum and I are saying cheers to a cup of tea. It's normally a glass of wine.
Little finger, the queen. Oh, hello.
I just call it a cuppa. Do you want a cuppa?
Mate, a cup of Charlie.
Or a cup of Rosalie?
Most take time out of their days to brew up, mash or be mothered.
Do you want some tea? You would like some tea? Yeah, there we go. Oh.
People sat down and had cups of tea
Yeah.
for hundreds of years.
Come round my house, have a cup of tea and have a good old chat.
That's what you say to me with kids. Have a cup of
Have
tea.
a cup of tea
really.
and chill out. The sound of the kettle and the way it pours into the cup, it's so comforting.
When you have that nice tea, it just warms you up and lifts your spirits.
Although there is the odd heretic amongst them.
I hate tea.
Oh, you can't do that.
No, Ken, no.
Sorry.
What they have in common, Ken apart, is strong views on 2 top British brands. So we're starting a hot beverage war of the roses. On one side are the fans of Yorkshire Tea, backing a brew that's as strong and uncompromising as its county of birth.
Yorkshire Tea is the best. Most other products don't quite give that bitter edge. Big, strong flavoured tea.
We always buy Yorkshire Tea,
You
love
always
it.
pick that one up.
Oh, it's bloody wonderful, that love.
They're clashing spoons with the PG tippers, partial to the pyramid bag, and a blend concocted in the Red Rose County of Lancashire.
It was always PG. That was what my mum always bought.
I buy PG Tips because I really do like the taste of it.
It has that soothing flavour and it just unwinds you every single time.
Liquid gold.
And the first round of our contest embraces the whole of this mighty nation of tea drinkers. Which tea bags the biggest sales? The last full calendar year figures show Yorkshire selling 103 million quid's worth compared with PG Tip's 96.8 million. It's the first time Yorkshire's ever topped the tea charts, so round one to the tykes. There's a long battle ahead though. And of course, whatever brand they prefer, tea lovers have strong opinions on how a cuppa, any cuppa, should be made.
In with the tea bag.
In you go. Put the water in.
100% water first.
Oh, it has to be water.
Has to be water first.
I'll put the milk in first.
No, you won't. No, you won't. You'll be divorced with it before you know it.
I'll put the milk in first.
You'll be divorced.
But how do you make the perfect cuppa? Well, it starts with the right sort of water. Oh, and a lesson from a past winner of the World Tea Personality of the Year Award.
Fill your kettle with freshly drawn, filtered cold water. There are lots of things in water that comes out of our taps which is really bad to brew tea and get the right flavour, the right aroma. Tap water very often, if there's a lot of calcium in it, a lot of lime scale, it will actually make the tea go cloudy. So if you use poor water, you're going to get a poor cup of tea.
I use my tap and I think my tea is still great, so we can agree to disagree on that one.
So bring the water temperature up to near boiling. Put your tea bag in a cup or a mug or a teapot. You pour on the water, preferably cover so that you keep the temperature of the water inside.
And when the water's weaving its magic, there's a big no-no that many of us do.
A little drain. Some people don't like the drain, but I like the drain. All right, go on. Oh, yeah.
Squashing your tea bag against the side of the mug to make a quick cuppa releases tannins. Result? A bitter taste. So be patient. Brew. Don't squash.
We're leaving the tea in for about 2 minutes minimum.
Great.
No, minimum.
You can give it a little bit of encouragement, but you can't rush it.
If you rush it, you make yourself a poor cup of tea. You've got to think about it.
Just sing us the song when we're waiting.
La, 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 la.
That's ready now.
It's not ready.
Surely it's ready.
Not quite.
Come on.
Okay.
Right, okay.
Right, we're going to take it out.
Finally.
If you're a fan of milk in your tea, be careful. Premature introduction wreaks havoc.
You should never ever put the milk into the tea until the tea bag have been removed, because as soon as you put milk in, you're going to reduce the temperature in which you're brewing the tea, so it's going to affect the way the tea brews.
And if you must put milk in, like the water, it matters which type.
I wouldn't use fully skimmed milk because it makes the tea go a bit grey and thin tasting.
I'm a whole milk man. If anyone uses that milk with a red top, get out. Get out.
Semi-skimmed.
Semi-skimmed milk, always.
That's cushy, that, yeah?
Everybody knows how they like their tea, but you can tell how much milk you need to put in.
Don't want to go overboard. You know, this is tea. It's not a milkshake.
Ooh. That's a good cup of tea.
Look at that though.
That does look good.
That is perfect.
Enjoy. It's good.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good.
But when people make tea badly, it doesn't half make our blood boil.
So today we are going to make tea. So fill our mug with water.
What are they doing?
Put it in the microwave.
No! No!
Pour the milk in.
Oh!
That's shocking.
Drop your tea bag in.
No! That's not going to be nice, is it?
And that's how you make hot tea.
That is abysmal.
Microwave tea.
Give me her address. I'm flying over to America. I'm going to learn that woman how to make a cup of tea. She puts it in the microwave, man.
Coming up, as the battle turns to heritage, we find out what's in a name.
PG.
Parental guidance. Parental guidance.
War of the ads, the clever marketing that made us laugh, and buy tea.
Monkey. Monkey.
Monkey.
But did PG have all the right cards?
You'd be like, ah, it's a pilot from World War II.
We reach for tea to soothe us or perk us up.
I really want a whistling kettle. Screams when it's ready. Like a train arriving, an old school train that just fills you with like proper joy. You're like, yes, here we go.
But who knew it could keep us entertained too?
Epic fail.
Take it away, Match.
Oh, that was so close. Oh. Yes.
Sorry.
I want to go.
Okay, I'm just going to chuck it. Ready?
But when you're joining in with the Jolly Japes, it's easy to forget you're part of tea's long history. Next up, tradition, and which brand, PG or Yorkshire, reflects it best. And that matters because tea has a story that began almost 5,000 years ago, although the first cuppa was all a bit of a mistake.
Tea was first discovered by the Emperor Shen Nung in the year 2737 BC.
He was preparing some drinking water one day, and because he was a herbalist, he spent a lot of his time trying different parts of different plants as infusions to see whether they were good for him or not. And by chance, some leaves drifted down from an overhanging branch into his cauldron of water. He liked the taste, but what he found about the drink was that it actually helped him to stay awake and to stay focused for much longer than normal.
The winds of fate had helped deliver liquid alchemy. Tea soon became China's national drink. Production was formalised, and eventually its cup spilleth over into Europe.
Tea first arrived in Britain in the middle of the 17th century. It was brought in by British people who had been trading in China, so ambassadors and merchants, that kind of thing.
And famous diarist Samuel Pepys was one of the first devotees.
He recorded everything in his diary, so many everyday things that we would know very little about were thankfully recorded by him. And one of those is the occasion when he first drank a cup of China tea, and that was in 1660, and it was obviously that important he made a note of it. But it took a long time, perhaps you could say even 200 years, before it really became a popular drink in Britain. And this was largely due to the huge tax that was put on it.
It was only affordable to very, very wealthy people, so the royal family, the aristocracy.
People drank green tea almost exclusively, and it wasn't until the 1720s that black tea started to be in the ascendant. It was often drunk with milk and sugar, and it was a drink which was sophisticated, associated with women, very much a genteel kind of drink.
But a love of tea soon trickled down into the lower orders.
The tea leaves that the aristocratic women drank were often reused by their maids to make their own cup of tea.
Actually slurping up the dregs from the teapot and the little bowls. So, of course, people became familiar with it, but they couldn't afford to actually buy it for themselves in those early days. That did gradually change through the 18th century.
And the 19th century move to free trade helped the tea trade as tariffs were reduced.
After the tax was lowered, the tea market started to explode, and a lot of new companies got into storing and warehousing and distributing tea, and of course tea shops blossomed. From the early years, there are still companies that are still running strong today.
Tea was now a drink that the working classes drank, and something which should be encouraged, because drinking tea meant the working classes were not drinking gin, which was, obviously, the scourge of the nation.
So, tea has a long history. But which brand best represents that impressive heritage? Well, PG Tips was launched between the wars, but it has older and deeper roots than that.
The story of PG Tips goes back to the 19th century when a man called Arthur Brooke founded a tea company. That became Brooke Bond.
They were producing excellent products, but with no real brand.
But that changed in 1930 when Brooke Bond launched what was to become PG Tips. PG.
PG.
Parental
guidance.
Parental guidance. Perfectly ground tips.
PG Tips started off being called pre-gest tea, the idea being that it was very good for your digestion. And the initial marketing was all about the fact that it was going to settle your stomach and enable you to skip off into the night after perhaps a heavy meal. However, in the 1950s, advertising standards started to get a bit twitchy about some of the slightly more spurious claims that products made about themselves, and so pre-gest tea was no longer allowed to claim that it was good for your digestion. The pre-gest therefore became shortened to PG, and the word tips was added to show that PG Tips used only the finest bits of the tea plant.
Regardless of its strange name, PG went from strength to strength to become the nation's favourite. But as we've seen, Yorkshire Tea, a brand with its own illustrious history, is now a formidable foe.
The story of Yorkshire Tea really starts in the 1970s. The company itself, Taylors of Harrogate, was bought by Betty's, the well-known tea rooms in Yorkshire, in 1962. Taylors decided that they would try and blend a new tea, something which could go into supermarkets. They wanted to blend something to suit the local waters, so they came up with Yorkshire Tea.
Something really cunning and simple about that, nailing their mask to a Yorkshire image.
But soon their tea infusion was to cross county lines.
That tea went into supermarkets in Yorkshire, and it did very, very well. Weirdly, it then went into Lancashire. And slowly over the next few decades, Yorkshire Tea spread out, first into the neighbouring counties, then into the Midlands, and then all of a sudden it became a national brand.
It's straightforward, like Yorkshire people are, and something has caught the imagination in Britain about Yorkshire Tea because it's doing extremely well.
I can't think of another county in Britain which could launch its own product in such a way, a product that is both British and yet so intensely regional, and somehow get away with it. What would happen if you suddenly had Norfolk tea or Cambridgeshire tea? It just doesn't seem to have the same appeal.
Try telling that to the Essex lot.
If that was Essex tea,
I'll be proud from where we come from, though.
Essex tea.
Essex tea would taste disgusting.
It's a close-run thing, with parent companies that both launched in the 19th century. But PG is celebrating its 90th birthday this year, and Yorkshire isn't even close to drawing its pension. PG Tips wins on heritage, because staying power matters. And they have impressive credentials when it comes to our next big battleground, marketing. One of their trusty weapons inspired generations of kids.
I vividly remember opening a box of PG Tips that my mum bought, and you'd be like, ah, it's a pilot from World War II. Every box of tea you had, there'd be a little card, and there'd be all different subjects. People would be obsessively trying to collect them all.
And that's why they bought tea, just to get the cards.
It was an incentive to buy the tea.
Wow.
And in Gravesend in Kent, you'll find a man with boxes and boxes of them.
Typical sort of thing you'll find at a car boot, and then we've got an even bigger box here. My father was in charge of buying the tea bags for the place where he used to work, and he said, I've got all these cards that people, the staff are leaving lying around, do you want them? And I said, yeah, I'd love them. So that really got me going. Here's a set of famous people cards. This set is beautifully illustrated. When you're out at a car boot sale and you see a giant box of them, it's hard to say no. So yeah, I've got thousands. And yeah, my good lady wife's not always appreciative of that.
PG Tips ditched the cards in 1999, and now they're highly collectible.
The most expensive cards tend to be the rarest ones. These will be the foreign Brook Bond cards, the ones from South Africa, the USA, and some of the ones from Canada. They are in the region of at least hundreds of pounds, and a couple of them are thousands of pounds to purchase.
And PG Tips also made marketing history in less traditional ways too, on the telly.
It's very difficult to think of PG Tips and not think of the PG Chimps. At least if you are over the age of, well, about 30.
They had the fine china. Do you remember the monkeys of the fine china? And then monkeys going.
Oh, I can't hold it down. Don't worry, son. I shooted more scanners than you've had up dinners.
The ads became increasingly successful and ambitious, almost like mini sitcoms.
For its age, I think it's a very good advert.
Seeing monkeys on TV is not something you see every day, so it's cool.
Everybody seemed to enjoy it, and sales rocketed.
Animal rights organisations were starting to agitate for change. It was becoming very politically incorrect to use chimps in such a way. So PG Tips responded to the criticism and pulled the adverts.
But PG Tips soon found a new primate star. In ads that inspired impersonators across Britain.
Monkey, go on, go on, make us a brew, monkey.
Monkey? Can you do that, Mum? No. Go on.
I don't want to. Monkey, you know we're always banging on about the delicious taste of PG.
Well, the mortgage won't pay itself.
Monkey, time for tea.
That advert is probably one of the best I've ever seen. And they weren't even saying anything.
The iconic double act of Johnny Vegas and his monkey pal saw tea sales soaring again. But across the Pennines, competition was brewing, with a set of equally powerful and humorous ads.
So go out there and do it for each other. Do it for yourselves, but most of all, do it for Yorkshire!
Oh, and the fire drill's Thursday at 3.
It's just surreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do it for Yorkshire and all that. They are taking the mick, but you know what? It works.
They've used a lot of like homegrown celebrities, haven't you? These people that feature in the Yorkshire adverts are from Yorkshire.
Oh, sorry. COS Gold, right?
Yep. The ads are successful, but is the northern humour confusing?
What they're branding is like only Yorkshire people drink Yorkshire tea, or they're only good enough to drink Yorkshire tea.
Yeah.
They don't drink any other type of tea in Yorkshire apart from Yorkshire tea.
I almost kind of feel like because I'm not from Yorkshire, it's not for me.
Next up, a man who's come all the way from Wakefield on the 36 bus. He enjoys salsa dancing, Yorkshire cricket and Barnsley Football Club. Good lad.
It's just a joke.
Yeah, obviously it's a joke.
And these ads have helped propel a regional brand to the top of the national charts. PG Tips triumphs, the chimps and the cards, lay in the past. Yorkshire Tea can claim current marketing supremacy and a proud victory. It's 2-1 to the Tykes. Coming up, how does PG's radical bag shape up?
Remember when they changed them into little pyramids? When everyone was like, wow.
Will a fruitful imposter sway the verdict?
I'm afraid it's not tea. The word tea should only be used for infusions that are made from the tea plant.
And a British tradition comes under fire.
Do you like dunking your biscuit? No. So what don't you like?
I don't like dunking my biscuits.
So far in our hot beverage War of the Roses, Yorkshire Tea's victories in sales and marketing put it one clear of PG, which won with its heritage. Next up, innovation. The last widespread tea change helped simplify and clean up making a cuppa. It was the tea bag.
It's such a faff having real tea, you know, the mess it makes.
It does. When I went for my nice afternoon tea,
Afternoon tea, darling, yes.
I forgot to put the little strainer in.
So you had all the bits in there. That's the tea leaf, isn't it? That's what my nan used to look down the bottom of it and say, Bradley.
With a tea bag, I can do it exactly how I want it. No waste.
And what don't we like, Madge? We don't like waste.
And just like the invention of tea, the tea bag was the result of a perfect mistake. This time by an American businessman.
Thomas Sullivan in 1908 said that he was used to sending out samples to his customers so that they could choose what to buy, and he had the idea one day of wrapping them up in little silk pouches and tying them at the top. His idea was that they would then untie the little pouches and tip the tea into their teapots in the normal way.
Some clever sod decided to put that sack straight into the teapot, and boom, it boiled the tea without having the tea leaves lurking around the tea and swallowing tea.
That's where the tea bag comes
Yeah.
from. There you go, you learn something new every day.
You do with me, yeah.
I mean, it's a really good way to make one cup of tea. It didn't really catch on in Britain though. We were wedded to our leaf tea and our teapots and our rituals. It wasn't until the 1950s that companies here really started to make tea bags. Even then, it took until the 1970s for tea bag sales to eclipse that of leaf tea.
And when it comes to the tea bag, PG Tips and Yorkshire Tea see things from very different angles.
This is the Yorkshire Tea one.
Yorkshire Tea have gone for the very traditional shape.
Just like Northerners, they wear shorts when it's raining, just straight up front.
We've got this one, the pyramid one, which is actually PG Tips. And they invented this one. It's actually not pyramid, it's tetrahedron.
Tetrahedral? That's a big word.
So when they changed them into little pyramids, when everyone was like, whoa.
This one they invented to say that it gave the tea a bit more space to brew.
You can swirl it round and it seems to work much faster than the straight ones.
I think it's a marvellous invention.
The size of a tea bag.
Our jury's out on whether PG Tips pyramids tower over the rectangular Yorkshire bags.
It makes absolutely no difference. It's got more space in, but when you put a tea bag in water, they all open up anyway.
We're not mucking around with these bloody pyramid combos. Tea bags have always been tea bags, not tea pyramids.
It will do the same job as a pyramid bag with less fuss.
And our expert, well, she's on the fence.
I'm not sure the shape makes that much difference. I think what is important is that the tea does have room to actually absorb the water, grow in size, and then the flavour and the colour needs to be diffused into the water. So that's what's really important.
But in 2014, PG used their star duo in a humorous ad to claim their bags were better than round rivals, and won official confirmation.
Okay, chaps, now pay attention. PG Tips uses pyramid bags. So if we test one against a regular tea bag...
And a digger.
Yes, and a digger, you'll see the tea's got more room to move.
They show you it underwater and you can see the full movement.
Did like a comparison, didn't they, of a normal tea bag compared to the PG's new pyramid bags.
A rival tea company complained to the Advertising Standards Authority, who backed PG Tips' claims that pyramid bags outperformed round ones.
Another reason why I drink PG Tips. They know what they're doing.
Of course, Yorkshire tea bags aren't round, so there's no official opinion that PG Tips beats them. But shape aside, there's another area in which PG has led the way.
Until quite recently, quite a lot of these everyday tea bags all contained polypropylene. When the tea bag is made in the machine, it's sealed by heat, and the polypropylene melts and seals the bag. Now, that is plastic, and obviously that presents problems to what we're taking into our bodies, but also what's going to landfill, because those plastics will never break down. So quite a lot of companies have actually worked very hard to switch from plastic paper, or paper that has some plastic in it, to papers that are plastic free.
Yorkshire Tea are in the process of rolling out environmentally friendly tea bags. But PG Tips' whole range is now available in biodegradable bags, with billions sold over the last 2 years. So, when it comes to innovation, PG, with their early use of polypropylene-free bags, take the crown. That means it's neck and neck as we turn to a new theatre of tea war: health. We don't just drink tea for its taste. We down it because it helps stop us feeling down.
I feel refreshed, I feel ready to take on the day.
You get up and go with it.
In both ways.
It gives you a little bit of energy.
It's a unifying feature, whatever side of the tea divide you're on.
The sunshine is beaming from my soul.
The idea that a cup of tea solves everything is almost as old as tea drinking in Britain itself. The early adverts for tea were, well, optimistic in the extreme. Tea, it was claimed, would cure your headache and make you a better person and refresh your spirit and all sorts of things that today the Advertising Standards Authority would not allow.
But take away the more outlandish claims. In troubling times, tea provides a ritual to rely on.
Why don't I make us a nice cup of tea, yeah? Put that stuff behind us.
When anything bad happens on EastEnders, the first line is, well, you can at least put the kettle on.
The tea is always out.
Why don't you just, I don't know, go and make some tea?
Go make some tea, Max. Everything will be all right then.
Oh, your arm's falling off. Do you want a cup of tea? That's the cliffhanger, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all hanging on a cup of tea.
So, it's a soothing morale booster, but beyond that, is it actually any good for us? A dietitian should know.
Tea is actually really good for you. It's full of antioxidants in the form of polyphenols, and these are really important because in your body you produce lots of things called free radicals, and if they build up in your body they actually start to damage you. Polyphenols kind of mop them up and just remove them.
And some scientists say drinking 3 or more cups a day could reduce your risk of a stroke.
That's why we drink.
That's why we drink tea, girl. Healthy. That's why we don't go to the doctors much. Drink tea.
But if you want to ensure a good night's sleep, you'll want to keep track of how much you sip.
I'd say 8.
10 cups a day?
I'm going to say about 6 cups a day.
No.
Yes.
You drink more.
How do you know?
I'll make you 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, or whatever you
No,
drink in a
you
day.
don't.
Yes, I do.
400 milligrams a day is the maximum. That's like 10 cups of tea.
6 days? Why? I thought we were 100 miles an hour. We've got too much caffeine.
Levels of caffeine for both brands are likely to be very similar, given they're both blends of black teas. But some of us are ditching black tea altogether in our quest for an even healthier cuppa.
So, cold infusion.
No, we have the cranberry one, and it smells so strong.
You've got chamomile and fennel and peppermint and rooibos and lemon verbena and rose hips. So many mixtures now available.
And a range of these infusions has been added under the PG name. Other leading brands are in this market too, like Twinings, who were top of the tea sales charts in mid-2019.
Oh look!
Look at that.
Oh wow! It just looks like juice, doesn't it?
Sometimes switch it up. Try something new. You know, it's still part of the tea family.
So, one up to PG for health? Sorry, we're going to have to rule this one out of our tea competition. And no VAR allowed, for one simple reason.
I'm afraid it's not tea. The word tea should only be used for infusions that are made from the tea plant. So any company that is selling herbal blends needs to give you information on the pack about what they're good for, what they might not be good for. So we need to be very careful not to use the word tea.
Tea is pretty healthy anyway, but what you add to it is another matter entirely. Can one of our brands steal a march here? Surely not.
Got the secret ingredient.
I need 2 in. I need 2 in.
You're not having tea?
I need 2 in.
I have sweetener in tea.
I don't.
2 sweeteners. 1, 2.
You know I'm sweet enough.
If you were to have 3 cups of tea a day, each with 2 sugars, there's 4 grams of sugar per teaspoon, and that means that you're taking in daily, just in your tea, 24 grams of sugar. you know, you're very close to your limit, and I think some people would have a lot more than 3 cups of tea a day.
Of course, sugaring tea isn't brand specific, and neither is another great British tradition: tea and biscuits.
Do you like a biscuit with your tea?
I like biscuit with my tea, any biscuit.
You're definitely a dunker.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. If we've got biscuits, we will dunk.
Yeah.
I wouldn't always dunk, but I can if I want to spice things up a bit.
Do you like dunking your biscuit?
No,
So what don't you like?
I don't like dunking my biscuits.
She told you first time, but for those of us who do dunk, technique is everything.
This is the only way I'm going to enjoy this cup of tea.
So, you bite the top corner.
The one corner?
Straight down.
Wow,
And then drip. And then
And straight down.
And then you bite the opposite corner on the bottom.
Turn it around.
Get yourself a Twix, bite both ends off, use it as a straw.
How do you dip your biscuit then?
Oh, and then you suck the tea through
You got that.
the corners
And stop.
and then quickly eat it.
And it melts in your mouth. It's beautiful. Mmm.
But beware, dunking can come at a price. Overdunk and there's a real risk of biscuit sludge.
How do you rescue it then? Do you get...
you don't. You have to drink it after
We have
that.
to drink lumpy tea.
Yeah.
Oh, what's wrong with you people?
Waste a perfectly good biscuit.
What you gonna? Oh no.
However, one of our brands might have the solution to the dreaded sludge and improved health at the same time by helping to restrict a dunker's sugar content. Because Yorkshire Tea have created a blend they claim tastes like tea and biscuits.
Yorkshire Tea, multi-biscuit flavour.
Biscuit tea.
It's a magical mug of biscuity goodness.
It doesn't get crumbs on your jumper.
Happy days.
Smells like I've just left my rich tea biscuit in it.
Wait, that's crazy. It actually smells like them biscuits.
It just tastes like normal tea.
Oh, that is so good. Oh my gosh.
It tastes like biscuit.
No, you taste a little bit of biscuit, and then it goes to tea.
It's biscuit and tea.
Biscuit and tea.
I am so shocked I could be converted to tea
No.
with this one.
No.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Because it tastes like as if I've dumped biscuits in.
That's not a bad brew, Denise.
Is it not?
No, it's not bad.
A bit of biscuit. And then tea.
Oh, yeah, no, I see what you mean.
Would you drink that?
Oh, yeah, I would drink it, yes.
Okay.
If I didn't have a choice.
Okay.
By offering us the opportunity to avoid unhealthy sugary biscuits, we're allowing Yorkshire Tea to emerge victorious in the health category. Coming up, will Yorkshire Tea maintain its narrow lead?
And Yorkshire.
As we go into the big taste test.
Completely and utterly wrong.
And can ardent fans be persuaded to switch brands?
Not bad.
This titanic battle of two of Britain's top tea brands is reaching its climax, with Yorkshire Tea holding a narrow lead.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Oh god, here we go.
But when it comes to a taste test, which is the most distinctive brew? Can our tippers and tykes spot the difference?
So one is Yorkshire and one is PG Tips.
So here's number 1.
I think the first one was definitely PG.
Well, unfortunately, you got it incorrect. No.
Put that on Yorkshire.
You got 0.
Oh no. Completely and utterly wrong.
Wrong way round.
No way.
So why is a blind taste test so difficult?
Wait, so that was the Yorkshire Tea I had this second?
Yeah.
To solve a question like that, you need a highbrow brew expert from Oxford University.
many of us have, strong feelings and preferences. When one does blind taste tests, people seem unable to pick out their favourite brand.
What's your favourite tea?
PG Tips.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
It didn't seem that way a minute ago.
I think we don't really have a very good memory of tastes.
Oh no, I got it wrong.
As soon as we know which brand a product is, suddenly it tastes different to us, but we're really remembering the brand rather than the sensory qualities on our tongue and nose.
Conclusion is good tea. We haven't got a clue which is which though.
But one ardent PG tipper can spot the difference.
Another try that?
No. No. I know.
I'm saying 100%. First one, PG Tips. Second one, Yorkshire.
How do you know?
Done.
How do you
I
know?
can tell. My favourite PG Tips, straight off.
Jackie's taste buds give PG Tips a taste test victory. They're level with their Yorkshire rivals. So next up, a Tea Titan tie-break to decide a winner. A brand swap. Could ardent fans be persuaded to switch sides?
In we go with the milk.
First up, Yorkshire Tea aficionados, Brad and Reed.
I don't remember the taste of PG Tips.
That's good.
Let me try.
That's good, but is it because it's different?
Oh, I don't know, I do like that.
It's because it's different. You're used to that. I'm not cheating on Yorkshire Tea.
I think I might be. It's nice.
It is nice. We have been Yorkshire Tea for the last...
We haven't bought PG Tips for
10 years?
a long time.
I think we're going to go with PG
PG
Tips.
Tips.
Because at the moment that is tasting better.
Yeah.
But I need to know if it's better because it's
PG
different.
Tips.
Yeah, PG Tips.
Well, that was easy. But PG tipper Jackie could be a tougher nut to crack.
I think it's better than Yorkshire Tea, and even after tasting everything, I'm still not changing my mind at all.
Will she feel the same, though, after a proper test to drink Yorkshire Tea for 7 days straight?
So, do you think I can make the whole week? Let's see. Day 1. Not bad. So, this is day 2. To say, quite enjoying my cups of tea.
But the next day, a problem has come to the boil.
I'm finding that I have to put 2 tea bags in to get the same strength that I like for brewing. Day 4, I'm coping. Who knew? Still having to do 2 tea bags though, so we'll see how it goes.
And as Jackie's roller coaster week continues,
I don't know whether it's because I've been away from PG Tips for so long, but I've decided today, quite tasty.
and now the verdict. Has Yorkshire Tea equalised?
Thank you, Yorkshire Tea. It's been fun, but you didn't win. For me, I'm still a PG Tips pyramid bag kind of girl.
So after a totally unscientific back-of-an-envelope contest involving slightly random categories and unrepresentative sampling, PG Tips is a narrow victor. Congratulations! But puncturing the moment slightly, ultimately, of course, it's down to individual tastes. Which particular tea is best for you? You need to make your own minds up.
If there's one tea that defines what it is to be British, that is Yorkshire Tea. And by God, will I drink many throughout the day, every day.
People of Britain, my mum's from Yorkshire and I'm still going against the Yorkshire Tea. If you don't believe me, try it. Compare the two, and after, you'll see exactly what I mean.
But whichever side of the divide you're on, we can all agree on one thing. Tea, you big bear hug in a mug. We salute you.
I like a nice cup of tea in the morning.
And a nice cup of tea for my tea.
And when it's 7:30, I feel like I'm in heaven with a
nice cup of tea.
I don't know if the locals in Derby would agree with that result, but maybe their trust in James will be renewed when he's called out to Mrs. Pumphrey's Pampered Peak. Brand new All Creatures Great and Small continues Tuesday at 9. Next tonight.